That pursuit of perfection is one of the worst things you could get into, but I also value people who value perfection and executing at a high level.
In athletics, yes, it's okay to pursue it because it's something that you're going to lose. You understand I'm pushing for this goal, but I probably won't make it, but the pursuit is what's great.
I think like that pursuit of perfection is one of the worst things you could get into, but I also value people who value perfection and executing at a high level. Like I love what Beyonce does. Yeah. She tries to do perfection. When I see her on stage, I know she's aiming for perfection. I see those viral clips of her getting mad at flaws in the performance, and it's like, I value that.
Well, I think that's like athletics though. That I think in athletics, yes, it's okay to pursue it because it's something that you're going to lose. You understand I'm pushing for this goal, but I probably won't make it, but the pursuit is what's great.
It's interesting you say like with athletes, right? Because like there's a value in the pursuit of perfection.
Absolutely.
With athletes. Yeah. Whereas like where it's purely superficial or aesthetic, it's like the perfection is that look, and there's no benefit, there's no real inherent benefit along the way to that.
No,
there's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of mental shit,
anxiety, just things stressing you out because I cannot reach this perfection.
Right. With athletes, if you do it in a certain way, there's a lot of value.
Yeah, you get bigger, stronger, faster.
You're getting stronger and better each time. Yeah. Each time you're learning something along the road. So I think the pursuit of perfection when it comes to like sport is
even in the workforce. Same thing.
Yes. Yeah. You learn things along the way. You learn how to get better at doing this thing.
Right.
Now, perfection could then be subjective. You know, somebody might have thought you were perfect a long time ago.
Yeah.
You just getting better. You blowing me away every day.
Yeah, now you blow. Yeah, when somebody's watching, it's like
I didn't even know this is possible.
I thought you were great when you were here. Now you're here.
So like, there's a lot of value there. But with like when you talk about just like, there's certain fields where that pursuit becomes a little ugly and there is no value on the journey there.
Right.
Or people, maybe there is, but people don't realize it because they're too busy looking at.
Right. They're looking here.
They're looking at getting there and they're not looking at that journey.
No, it is. I think that the pursuit of perfection when it comes to sports is one of you, even though you're never going to really be perfect, the pursuit of it. I got to be faster. I got to be stronger. I got to be smarter. I need to be a step faster. So you're constantly improving yourself and you're improving for your craft. And that is a lot to be said about that.
Right.
Yeah,
I think there's very few athletes who consider themselves perfect athletes. Now there are some, and they are very funny to watch.
Like who? You obviously have somebody in mind.
I mean, I think about just the ego. Like Patrick Beverly is one dude that makes me think that he thinks his game is perfect. He probably does not. So Pat Bev, if you're watching this, hey
Pat Bev, if you're watching, please let me know. Come on the show, please. Oh my God.
And Pat Bev is like, I'm a fan of the route. Like Pat Bev is one of those dudes who I think he's like, I'm the perfect defender. I'm the perfect defensive force.
He doesn't do anything wrong.
I does nothing I do wrong. Now, does he truly think it? Probably not. But he definitely gives he makes me think that he does.
Yeah.
I can't say that he's doing it intentionally. He makes me think that he thinks he's perfect. You know, I'm going to own that. He may not ever, because if Pat Bev, you watching, I don't want to offend you, dog.
No, please don't. Yeah, we don't need that smoke.
He makes me think that he's perfect, and I don't know. That's probably not good to be in the game, and you're like, I'm the best player here.
But you got to think that, though.
But Tatum had to think that.
That's what separates everybody else. That's what, when you get to those levels where you're at the highest point of your career, like there's still levels you have to reach, and you get those guys like a TJ Watt, a JJ Watt, you know, LeVar Arrington, that's way back in the day.
That's my dude.
Yeah. You know, these guys that separated themselves from the rest of the NFL or the rest of the NBA, they played at such a high level and they believe that I can make that play. I can do these things, and that's what separates these guys along the way. It's like, wow, this dude, I'm playing in the professional leagues, but this dude is playing in a whole nother stratosphere from me. So
you got to have a little bit of delusion to execute at a high level.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean? Because if you start to doubt yourself, I mean, in golf, there's like a whole term for like when you start to doubt yourself and your swing and your performance. I forget what it's called. I heard it one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. It's such a thing they had a name for it.
It's not. I mean, it could be as simple as just psyching yourself out.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure it's a technical, long.
It wasn't even a technical thing. It was just like some insider thing. Like if I was to make a word, it would be like stomping. You know, he stomped out. You know, they were throwing it around like that. When I heard it was something like that, right? Not to say that that's it, but in golf, when you start to let the doubt and that sort of outside force creep into your game, then you're like completely out of sync, and they have to like go through a whole like process of getting it back.
Well, that's just like with gymnastics, like Simone Biles, exactly. The twisties, or isn't that what they call it?
They call the spins or the twisties
or something. Yeah. It's like, you know, you start doubting yourself and you start getting scared.
Very cute name for it.
Yeah, I know, twisties,
like,
right?
It like destroyed her for a year.
It destroyed her for a year, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, big deal!" And you know, it's like, where were your friends during all this? Like, you know, who was there to help support her? And she's going through all this stuff, and you're like, man, like, this is real. And you hear it from my perspective, from your perspective. We don't know gymnastics, so you're like, well, that sounds weird. Y'all twist and tumble all the time. Like, well, all of a sudden are you out, and then you start seeing it, and then she comes back strong, and you're like,
I bet you that circle shrank.
As far
I bet
as
you that circle, her network of friends and family. God, yeah. I don't think it was big to begin with. I think when you become an athlete, you keep very trusted people.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I'm sure she lost a couple people in that.
Oh yeah. I'm sure a lot of people probably got pushed to the side, but you know, that's kind of leads us into what we were going to talk about. And it's like my son dealt with the same thing. I know I'm talking about the whole NIL, U of A transfer again, but there's so many things that are popping up from all that I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me that? Like, the most recent thing I talked to him about a week ago was me and his mom, and he hadn't called home in a while. She, you know, mom is, where's my baby? I miss him. I haven't heard from him. So he calls home, and they talk for like 2 hours. She loves it, has a great time talking to him. But throughout the conversation, she finds out that during that period when he decided, okay, I've done everything I need to do, I'm officially going to transfer. And they stopped screwing him around, and they said, okay, here you go, on your way. Well, during that transition from U of A to Washington, there was a dead period in there where I said dead period, a dead time, or whatever you want to say, where the school let him go like he requested. He didn't have any, you know, classes. He didn't have any money. And so he's down there for a month and a half, and he's struggling with food. Like, he doesn't have money for food. He doesn't have, he can't just get basic, like a bottle of water.
Right.
So during all this time, he reaches out to his so-called teammates and friends, like, hey man, you know, I don't have any money because I'm not on scholarship anymore. I'm still waiting on this Washington thing to go through. Can y'all help me out? Can you go to the cafeteria where you're getting food for free? You got leftover food. I mean, it's a buffet.
Right.
If everywhere you look, there's food, strawberries and grapes and steaks and lobsters. So it's like, dude, I just want a to-go box. Can you get some food and, you know, a couple bottles of water? And they absolutely ignored him. Like, nobody reached out, backed out to him. His own, I gotta be careful because I don't want to put kids out there like that. But
yeah, don't.
Yeah. I have to be careful. But I've had time to really calm down, because when I first heard about it, I was like enraged, because I'm like, dude, this is a good kid. There are times when I'm trying to make sure I don't spill too much of the tea here.
We got to edit it out.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So there were kids that would call him his first 2 years there. Hey man, we getting pulled over by the cops and everybody in the car is drunk. Okay, all right. Well, hey, I'm gonna call the coach. Hey, coach, this is a problem. We need to do something about it. So he'll handle it. He's had friends where they're at the bar and he's like, dude, come on, man, you're drunk. You don't need to be in here fighting. So he's always been kind of that, I'm going to look out for my teammates. We may not be the best friends, but we have a shared bond of this struggle that we're going through in football. And so I'm going to be there for you, you know, friendship, team, whatever you want to call it, common bond. And so a lot of these kids would call on him, or he would help them in the club. Like, come on, man, you're drunk. Let's get out of here before something bad happens. One of his friends, associates, whatever you want to call it, asked him to go to the clinic with him. And it wasn't a pregnancy test. It was another test, because he found out he got burnt. And so Deuce went with him, being a friend, to support him, like, dude, this is messed up. Let's figure out what's going on. So when I need your help over something that's free, that you could just go pick up at the cafeteria and bring me a box, nobody would even acknowledge him. Nobody even wanted anything to do with him. And
when you say nobody, and you, because you said a couple different things, so let's parse it down, right? Are these the same friends that he called on to help him when he needed food and help? That he, like the dude who went for the STD test?
Yep.
The same dude you asked for food and he didn't respond.
Didn't respond to
Okay,
it.
and then the same dude that was helped
get out the club.
He asked him and did not.
Because most of it, I say the team.
Because obviously Deuce had to tell you about these people. It's not like you knew who they were.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was even having these problems because it's a twofold. It's like, as a father, I'm hurt that you didn't call on me for me to help you. But as a man, I get what you're doing because I've been there in college where you didn't have something or you went without and you didn't want to call home. You didn't want to be like, Mom, Dad, I need your help. So you want to figure it out on your own. So it was a double-edged sword for me because I felt this immense amount of pride because you wanted to handle it on your own and you didn't want to reach out to Mom and Dad. But then as Mom and Dad, we felt so bad because like our baby's suffering and we can't do anything about it. But
and how bad did it get for him? Like,
it was bad. Like, he hadn't eaten for a few days and he was hungry. And one of his roommates that actually transferred to Washington with him came back. I forgot where he was. He had been gone for a little while. I think he went back to California. And he came back and came in the apartment like, dude, you okay? Like, he saw how bad he was living. He's like, come on, man, let's go get something to eat.
That's wild.
Like, it was that bad. Like, you had people who lived in the house with him that they didn't get the call as well to go to Washington. So now I don't want nothing to do with you. Now I'm in my feelings and emotions.
Oh, you think so? Is it? Do we think that, or do we know that? Okay.
I think that.
You think there was a vengeance?
I think
played?
It was jealousy. I definitely do, because how can me and you be together for 2 years, working, sweating, bleeding together? We're at parties together. I'm looking out for you. You're looking out for me. And then all of a sudden, this new coaching staff comes in. The old coaching staff leaves. I get the call to go with them. You're still here. And now I'm like, hey, man, can you bring me something to eat, something to drink? Like, I'm struggling over here. And you don't do nothing for me?
Right.
Like, that screams jealousy.
It's, first of all, it screams horrible person.
Oh, absolutely a horrible person.
Because we're talking about, I've heard like friends, associates, and I understand that these people may not have been like boys, right? Yeah, I may not have been like your boy. We may not have been locked in, like we hanging out all the time, like we know each other. That's worse.
Yeah.
If we were like genuinely homies and you did that, I might have to see you, right? I might have to see you. We had to have some face to face. If we were really friends and that went down like that, that's such a deep betrayal that I would have to go talk to somebody to calm me down. But
I would have went to talk to that individual,
right?
And the only way I would have calmed down is when I put some hands on you, because at the end of the day, man, like, you've called on me for so many things, and I'm not just saying his roommate. It's other people that are involved with this as well. He reached out to other kids, young men that came into, I almost said Carolina, that's me, that came into U of A with him, that class of 22. So, for 2 years, you guys have helped build this university up, get them back to a place where you can be proud to say, I play football at U of A, and you've gone through so much together. So like you said, you may not be my best friend, but we have a mutual bond
strong enough for you to help me when I'm starving.
Exactly.
Like that.
To bring me a bottle of water.
I only got to meet you once. And if you tell me you starving, I'm going to try to do something.
I'm going to do whatever I can.
know, and I would even temper that with like my expectations on, it's like, I don't really know you that well. Maybe we met once. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you asking for something, that's a little weird.
But
you know what I mean?
It depends on what they're asking for.
Right. It depends on what you're asking for. Because I've met a lot of people, and then all of a sudden you on hard times the second time we link, or the second time I talk to you, you all of a sudden now you need something. Now I'm like, there's a weirdness there. And I know that wasn't the dynamic. But even there, I might go, here's $5.
Yeah, here you go. Here's what it's all I can do.
And if he asks me for a bottle of water, I get you a bottle of water. That's
a cafeteria that you can walk in and eat for free, and you get to go stuff all the time.
Yeah,
you take it back to your room.
This is a horrible person we're talking about.
Yeah, well, a horrible group of people.
Horrible people.
Yeah.
Irredeemable qualities there.
I'm not gonna go that far, because I
just because you can run the ball.
I went the gambit of feelings, because when I first heard it, it was the anger, it was pride, and then I started looking at the kids, and I'm like, dude, like, how would y'all let him do that? Like, he was always there for you. And then it's funny, because one of the dads that his kid is kind of involved in this too, he didn't do anything for him. he had called me once, probably 2 weeks before I found out about all this. And you know how you get a phone call and you're like, okay, how you doing? Yeah, hey, man, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, man, my kid is doing so good. Oh, I'm so proud. That's great to hear. Yeah, man, now that he's got everything, people are gone. People are gone? What do you mean? You're calling me to tell me that your son is doing better now that my son is gone?
What does that conversation even mean? Yeah.
Right. It was just like, how you're listening and you look at the phone like, am I hearing this right? Like, are you trying to tell me that your kid is doing better? Like my son was the reason that your kid was out drinking, getting drunk, that he's got to go to these clinics, that he pulls up to practice the next day with the walk of shame, getting out of a car because he's been out partying. Now he's showing up to practice still smelling like last night. The coach is looking at him like, really? And then you're gonna make I took it as, okay, so my kid was the problem. Like, come on, man. And then when all this hits the fan, now I wanted to pick up the phone and be like, hey, bro, let me talk to you because you're making my kid seem like the problem, and it was actually yours. But the thing that I love the most about it and through all this is he told me after he talked to his mom, because, mom is more emotional. She's, oh, my God, my baby, why don't you tell us? And I'm talking to him. I'm like, so what'd you learn out of this? He goes, Dad, I'm going to be honest with you. He goes, this is probably the best thing that could have happened to me. He goes, because I found out real quick who my friends are. And I understand that just because we play football together does not make us friends.
We're not homies.
We're not. And, people love you and they want to be your friend as long as you're not doing better than them. And the second you start doing better than them, it's like, well, whatever. Deuce has got special treatment. Here comes all the BS. And it's like, no, you need to look at you. What are your grades like? Because when these coaches left, they took the kids that weren't going to be problematic. They took the kids that were good ball players, that were good in class and good people. So it's like when something like this happens, you're like, well, there's your reason why you're still here.
Right.
And so for me, it was just so upsetting because he's 20 years old. He's still a young man. And now you have to learn this hard lesson that everybody's not your friend.
But it also is like sometimes it's not even that cut and dry, right? It's to me, it would be like learn what friendship really is in this capacity and understand how to navigate that a little bit more healthily. Now, I'm not saying Deuce did anything wrong or these kids are complete monsters, even though I think they are.
But I just think they're kids that don't know how to deal with their emotions.
I don't know, man.
I don't want to.
Somebody asked for some food. I'm going to help you out, man.
Right.
There's something very like.
But also, though, and I want to say this because I don't want to paint the picture of my son to be some angel. He's perfect. No, whatever. So I'm only hearing his side of the story.
Exactly.
I don't know why they didn't show up. I don't know why they didn't do anything.
Maybe Deuce whipped their ass in 2K.
Right. You don't know what happened. Yeah, it could be
payback.
Yeah, this could be payback. Like
Deuce was flirting with a girl with a couple of eyelash blinks. I don't know.
I don't know.
There could be a lot that happened there, right? Mm-hmm. But even if there were some transgressions that Deuce Meta did to make them think that way, me deciding you don't deserve to eat is a very hard line take on it. Like, we enemies.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about you. I don't care about your well-being.
Like that, I am your enemy, bro. And if it's just like I'm just too absent-minded of a person to even follow through with this, I can understand that. It still makes you a bad person. Like, someone flag you out for something that critical, have some urgency. Yeah. All right. Your lack of urgency lets me know that you're not a good person.
Yeah.
You may not be a horrible person. You definitely ain't a good person.
You're not a good person.
So then it's like, I hope Deuce, in some respect, learns the lesson to take away is like to just be more discerning.
Yes.
When you're in a competitive field like that, because I experienced that in the world of comedy. When you're out here creating and trying to be the star of whatever, you're gonna get that competition. You're gonna get that people who like see your success as their failure.
Absolutely.
Which obviously is going to happen in the world of football as well.
Absolutely.
And at some point, you do have to sit down and go, these are not my friends. And it's not a negative thing.
No, it's not.
Sounds negative at first, but it's like, we are not friends.
No, we're not.
I know you.
Yeah.
I know
we're associates
of you.
Right.
Really. I don't even know you.
Yeah.
I know of you. I know your first and last name. I know you play here.
Yeah.
I know you came from here. That's it.
That's about it.
Do I know who you are? Do I know how you rock, how you get down? Do I know your family?
No.
Have I seen you off the field? Do I know how you speak? Do I know your intellectual level? Do I know your dreams and nightmares? I don't know any of this, really.
That's the thing about sports is that I can kind of speak to this is because I'm with you more than I am with anyone else as far as my teammates. So I learn your things that set you off, things you like, things you don't like. So I can't speak to being hurt like that because when we were in college, and I say the guys that I came in with, we're still in touch today. Like we have a group chat with like 15 guys. We all came in 94. And I'm not going to say we're like this, but we
consider them friends.
Exactly. I consider them friends. And I think Deuce felt like these are my boys. Like I would go to bat for you. So I'm expecting you would do the same for me. And so when he saw that, hey man, can y'all help me out? And nobody came to his aid. It hurt him, but it made him stronger. He was more resilient. And then he found out this is the kicker. After he leaves,
it was the kicker who did it.
No. The kicker. I'd be so mad if he got dissed by a kicker. Come on, man. and I'm, so I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, Dad. You know what the real part is? The real messed up part is, after all that, I get up to Washington. I'm settled. I'm doing better, and just life is much better for him. Here come the DMs." From those same
vultures, bro.
From those same kids. That's why I said it was a jealousy thing because now that I'm here, you thought, well, these kids called a meeting and we're U of A, we're gonna stay here and we're gonna do this. Nah, we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna make my own decisions. So now that you haven't been invited to the big show, now all of a sudden, hey man, do y'all have any room up there? Is there any room for me? Is there, do you think the coaches would want me? And Deuce is like, I didn't even respond to it. And I said, as well, you shouldn't.
Good.
Don't say anything because it's tampering, first of all. So, you got to deal with that, all that BS that comes with that. But you also learn that these same people, bro, I asked you for a box of cold cuts and some bread and cheese and a couple bottles of water.
Making me hungry right now.
I know. And you're going to do that to me? You don't even want to talk to me? You don't want to deal with me? You know I'm over here struggling. You're going to go stay with your girlfriend. You don't come back. All these things were just showing how immature these kids were. But I'm not upset with them as much as I'm glad that it happened and he became a better person for it. It's like we were talking about striving for perfection. You gained something by this hurt. This hurt wasn't just for no reason. You're stronger for it. You're more discerning when you talk to your people because, a friend to me, and I think I love this movie, is, you've seen The Town, right?
With Jeremy Renner?
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck?
And he comes over and he's like, movie. I need you to roll with me. Yeah. He goes, don't ask me about it. Don't talk about it. And we're going to hurt some people. And he's like, who's driving? Right, that's what I consider a friend. And I think that's because he was raised around me. He knows I have a small group of friends that if I haven't talked to one of my best friends who lives in Florida probably up until last week, probably like a couple months. Pick up the phone. Hey, man, what's going on? We talk for hours.
Like those are guy friendships.
Yeah, exactly.
I got homies I haven't spoke to a year. Pick up the phone. It's like we talked yesterday.
Just like that, right. and so for him, he sees that and he's like, my dad played football. He got this connection from football, but he learned real quick that everybody on that team isn't your friend. And for an athlete to have that burn or to have that happen to them, it hurts because it happened to my daughter the same way with dance.
Everybody goes through this.
Everybody goes through it.
It's a very universal thing.
It's very universal.
And going back to that pursuit of perfection, right? And I know you said that Deuce is a better person for it. It's like the perfect version of that is that he is a better person.
Yeah.
But honestly, the next step is like scorn. Yeah. He's got to like navigate, and he's young, so it's good that he's like learning it now. But the road ahead from this moment isn't as clean as it may seem. I'm sure
it's going to be muddied. Yeah,
it's going to be muddy, and it's going to be some ugly spots. And he might come out on the other side not where he should be. He might have a distrust of people and of the people around him that could be unhealthy. So this first step is identifying it.
Yeah.
And the next step is navigating it healthily, right? Because now you want to go through it and be like, all right, you don't want to look at everybody as like this villain that's coming into your life, because that's what some people do. You know what I mean? They get like, you ever see those dudes? They get one bad breakup and now every woman is a monster,
or every woman thinks the same thing about men.
Same opposite thing, right? They get one bad relationship
and all men are trash. All women are
That can happen with friendships. You know what I mean? You get one bad experience in a friendship, all of a sudden, no new friends. I keep you're a weird, closed off individual,
don't want to meet
and
people.
You think you're stronger for it. Is no, you're just kind of like a rat in a cage, and everybody now deals with you with gloves on because they see how deeply it's affected you and how you've never come out of it. So that's the next thing, that the landmine that you want to get around.
He's not gonna, because he has
Let's hope.
a father, he has a mother, and it's like he understood like this is football. Like you're around 100 people. I mean, on a day-to-day basis. So you've got 100 different attitudes, 100 different perceptions on what the world is. So I don't think that he's going to be like, well, I don't trust you, but he is going to be, he's going to guard his feelings a little bit. I'm not going to open up to you till I see a little give and take. When I do something for you, you do something for me. Okay, now we're becoming friends. Now I can, because his roommate that stayed here, that was at U of A with him, went up to Washington. That's the same kid that when he came back in town, he's like, bro, what the hell's going on, man? Like, let's go get something to eat. Here you go. That's his boy. He loves him, trusts him. They're up in Washington. And one of the best things I think they could have done for their friendship was that they don't live together. Because I think that became an issue too. You know, you're living with your friend. You're living with somebody who you're competing with all the time. Like everybody that stayed in that house played the same position except for one kid. So you got three kids that are all competing for one spot. And then when two of them get called and you're still here, you got to feel some type of way.
Right.
You know he's over here at the house. Everybody else is gone. He's dealing with all the stuff that's going on. Like, we all got this dog together, but now I'm the only one taking care of the dog. Y'all know I don't have any money. I barely can eat. You're going to leave me with the dog. Nobody comes over to, like, check on him. And it was like, as a parent, it was very hurtful, but I'm so glad that he went through that. And I know every time I talk to him now, he sounds better. He looks better. Like, he told me when he went up there, he goes, Dad, when I reported to Washington, I was like 185 pounds, 190. And I mean, he's never been a huge kid, but you're talking about dropping from 220, 215 down to like 190 because huge. You don't have food.
That's huge.
And it just really hurt me. So I did not want to come on here and this kid and this, but it was one of those things where it's like, I think kids need to understand that just because you're on a team with people does not mean that they're all your friend and they all have your back. We're fine as long as we're all right here together. But as soon as you start getting this and this, that's when all the hate comes. That's when all the distrust. Oh, well, you're doing something I'm not. Well, yeah, I'm working hard. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Why do you get a break that I don't get? So then here comes all that inner thought. And like you said, you got your own personal demons. Maybe you've been hurt like that, so you're guarded. It's just so much that comes out of this. These young men, these young women, they're on these teams, and you're dealing with all these different attitudes and how you were raised, how I was raised. It's
a very
tough.
Complex environment to have to navigate.
Absolutely.
At that age, especially. Because the inherent competitiveness and understanding that, every season I might be out of here.
Every year.
Every season there's someone showing up to take my job.
Absolutely.
So it's like, when that's the core of it, how are we really truly homies, right?
Yeah, how are we really friends?
If you're here to make me lose my job, I can't really be friends with you.
I can't be. No. You can't be.
I could be friendly.
Yeah.
We could be cordial.
Yeah.
But are we homies? My homie would never do that.
Yeah, he was
the boy I grew up with, if we wouldn't like show up and take my job, that ain't a friend of me. So it's like understanding those relationships and understanding what friendship really is. And I do think like the truly magical teams that come out that you get to see are the ones that are able to navigate that in the best way possible. And the worst teams, the ones that fall apart, are the ones that aren't able to navigate that, right?
But it takes a good coach, though. It starts at the top.
That can like handle that, handle the egos, handle the relationships in healthy ways, separate those personalities when they need to be separated. Absolutely. That is a good coach.
That's a good leader.
And maybe that's like the conversation that needs to be had, is coaching that element in youth who are dealing with these kind of things for the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It means to start as early as like Pop Warner football. Like, as a coach, you have to understand, like, hey, we're all a team out here. We're working for one goal, but it's okay for you to want that position. It's okay for you to push this person and maybe even take your friend's job. As long as you're not doing something dirty, underhanded tactics, then that's just the nature of the beast, and that's what we all signed up for. But outside of the sport, there's a level of we go through the same thing. Like, you may beat me out and take my job, but I still have respect for you. Like, outside of football, we can play video games. We can go hang out at the bars. We can do things like that because we are teammates. But I just felt like this whole situation was so much like everybody was in their feelings. Well, we just had this big bombshell drop. Our coach left. We got a new coach coming in. The coach that just left is only taking certain kids. He's taking his kids that he wants. And for you not to get that call, now you get in your feelings. Now that's even more separation. Right. So, I mean, it's just these kids deal with so much at such a young age. And it's like I've talked on every show that we've done together how this NIL, it's like people think it's just, they're transferring and that's it. It's all rainbows and unicorns. And it's like, no, there's so much ugly that goes on.
Well, the players are also just like, they're experiencing a lot of adult situations for the very first time. And you've talked about this before. It's like Deuce is navigating a very adult decision process that he's never had to do without you by his side. Right. So that alone is very daunting for a young person. Absolutely. And you add to that you still have to perform at a high level and you still are at risk of losing your position and your livelihood and your dream.
Yeah.
These are very big things that once you get to like 30s and 40s, you're able to understand with a level of realism that's a little bit. But when you're down there and the prospect is like sports fame and fortune.
And that's what you're looking up at the whole time.
The prospect of that being taken away from someone like coming in or not helping you when you really need it, it becomes life or death. It becomes so heavy that it's like, it's almost unbearable. And as a coach, you have to understand that is in there at all times.
Oh, they do.
Beyond, and like a good coach does. Yeah. Like beyond like the raw, I can run the ball really well, I could throw the ball really well, I could dunk, or I could smack a home run at whenever you need me to. There's a person that's just now understanding how to pay their own bills.
Yeah,
there's a person there that's just now dealing with the fact that I have to deal with a relationship without my mom giving me guidance. Yeah. There's a person dealing with very real adult things for the very first time. Yeah. And that's always at play for them. It's not like me and you where it's like, I got a home life that's going to affect my work in some way, but I can... I can lock in and this could be here and I can do this.
I can compartmentalize
those young players, it's happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and they're having to deal with it. But that's why I think the parent aspect is so important because they have to have mom, dad, sister, whoever to reach out to. Because even when my daughter heard about it, she looked at me like, and I could see her eyes just was like, that's my baby brother. Like, sometimes they have their little back and forth, but they're brother and sister. So that's to be expected. And it's like the minute she heard my baby brother's in trouble, her eyes were like,
fight.
Right. It was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this. And she
raised a good girl.
She sent an immediate text like, hey, Deuce, or when she's trying to be all sweet to him, she'd be like, hey, baby brother, I heard about what happened. I know what it's like when you do stuff for people and then when you need them, they're not there for you. So if you want to talk, let me know. And I was like, that's what these kids need. Mm-hmm. They need that support, and then like I will constantly beat this, and that's like beating a dead horse. Like, you hear all these people talk about the NIL. You talk about all this money, but there is a dark side to this that you don't get to see. And I guess that's what I'm trying to shed a little light on. So when people hear kids transferring, kids leaving, that 1%, that top 1% for millions of dollars, I get that. But sometimes kids are leaving for their own happiness and well-being. That's what they're looking for. Like you said, if my goal is to get to the NFL and I don't feel like I'm getting there here, now I got to go somewhere else. And then when
my time is limited too.
And my time is very limited. I have 4, maybe 5 years to try to get there.
I got to make a decision quick.
And I got to do this stuff right now.
And I got to think about all these things quickly. Mm-hmm. And this decision wasn't quickly made. I have to process it quickly. Yeah. And I have to make a decision. And maybe I don't have all the right, maybe it isn't a clean cut. Maybe it doesn't make sense to everyone. Obviously, these fans and everyone, they have a opinion on it. It's like, I also had to do this very quickly. Do you understand? I have limited time to make this decision.
Yeah.
So whether you think it was good or not is whatever. The dark side is that you've stripped the humanity behind these decisions away. You've taken away the human element in that I have a very limited time to achieve my dreams, and I can't make this decision as clean as you want it.
Right.
That's the humanity behind it. And
Because you have a limited window where it's like, okay, here's the window. You got 1 month to decide what you're going to do that's going to affect your future. And it's like,
my forever.
whoa. Like,
it's going to affect my forever. Can you at least see the humanity that I have to deal with this?
Yeah.
And no one does, because they got,
it's
they
sports.
They got the jersey. They want to put it on. They want to be winners. It's like, but this was my dream, and I only have this much time to accomplish it.
A small window to accomplish it. And it's like you said, there's all these things that are trying to pull you down. I mean, you have people coming in every year that are being recruited. You have people coming in the portal that are being brought in to take your job. And if they take your job, nobody feels sorry for you. Like, hey, you should have performed better. And that psychologically, now you're looking at, I'm second team. Okay, now I'm not going to get as many reps. Now I'm not going to be seen as often. Now you see it as my NFL dreams are being taken away. So that's why, to go back to what we were talking about in the beginning, it was like, I'm not 100% mad at the kids. I'm not, because they look at it as, well, God, he got an opportunity to go to Washington. He's on a bigger stage, a better team. So to them, your NFL goals have been increased where mine has been decreased. I don't have that same amount of cameras and eyes on me. So they're looking at it like, well, you get a chance to continue and maybe get a step closer to your dreams than I am.
But that's incorrect.
That's how it is. That's how
right. You know what I mean?
Perception is reality, though.
Perception can be a reality if you lack perspective.
Well, a lot of
people
lack perspective,
and a lot of people lack perspective. Deuce's success cannot equal their failure if they're still in line to do the things that they're doing in the place they're doing them.
But how many times have you done something great, and then you have some people that are happy for you and other people that are mad, and you're like, I worked hard. I earned what I have. Nobody just handed it to me. This is multi-billion-dollar business. Nobody's just going to be like, I like you a lot. Come on. And you suck. Like, you have to fit a certain mold. You have to check off certain things on this list in order for me to do this, because just like your job is on the line, as a coach, my job is on the line. If I bring you in and you suck, I'm not going to have too many more opportunities to keep bringing in kids that don't get the job done.
Yeah. And there's also like things at play that maybe it just doesn't work out. You know what I mean? I know we've seen once in a generation talent. They get recruited by the wrong team. They got the wrong pieces around them. They get an injury. D Rose.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my. It's like sometimes it just doesn't happen. So when you take a look at the other side of the fence, you see the success of someone else who doesn't have these like cosmic powers at play. Like, you're going to get an injury that you had to deal with your whole time, or you're going to be on the worst coaching staffs forever and you'll never really truly meet it. It's like sometimes it just don't work out. You know what I mean? And you just have to you have to be able to just understand and deal with the fact that reality is a bitch.
Cold-blooded too.
It's cold-blooded. It's like I'm sure you can name beyond the sports world these once-in-a-generation talents in acting and comedy and music, and you're like, why didn't they get as big as I thought they should be in my head?
Oh yeah.
Why didn't they get as big? And it's like, sometimes it just don't work out. This is entertainment at its core. Entertainment don't owe anything to anyone.
Nothing. And the thing is, it's like, and a lot of it, all that hard work, all that preparation, sometimes it comes down to just luck. It comes down to being at the right place at the right time, seeing the right coach, being around the right agent. Like, it's just a timing, and you missed it. Stopping at a red light might have just set you back a split
butterfly
second.
Effect type stuff.
Absolutely. And you're just like, what went wrong? Like, how did this happen? And you're like, cosmically. So it's easy for me to look at you and say, well, it's his fault because he has what I have.
Because I can't explain it otherwise.
Because I can't explain it. So my mind will only accept that it's your fault. And I think that is a big factor into these kids, because I'm not saying all this to get on here and down any of these kids. This is strictly for parents to know and kids to know that this is the reality of the world that you want to be in. This is the reality of what these kids deal with, what these young men and women deal with on a day-to-day basis. Constant pressure, constant success, or the pursuit of the success.
Constant success is a scary thing to deal with too.
Yeah, you have to always be
there.
good. Like that's hard to live up to every day. You got to watch what you say. You have to watch what you put on social media. Like the enormous amount of pressure that these young men and young women are under. You see, okay, well, they're getting NIL. They can do this, they can do that. But there is such a dark side that comes with that money. With that type of money, it's like you can't say the wrong thing. Like we had an episode about that where I had to call him. Hey, bro, what are you posting? You can't do that.
And that's why you get like the Jason Tatums that just mimic what other people have said. First of all, I don't know how to deviate. Hated your championship speech, Jason.
Oh, come on, bro. No,
I already talked shit
man.
about this. All he did was parrot a bunch of winning quotes from other people, but that's like...
It's safe.
It's safe.
It is.
It was safer than coming up with something original that then
on the spot,
can pick apart, because they're already picking them apart right now.
Right, just like we're doing here.
For just doing that. I'm part of the problem. But like that's what you're going to see more of. You're going to see more Jason Tatum type personalities who go, I'm going to just say the meme. I'm going to say the thing that's already clocked in pop culture ethos.
Yes.
I'm not going to come up with something because then you're going to do this and this
you
and
have
this.
to explain it. You have to validate it.
And the road to being that type of personality is just, it's more challenging. Like Ant-Man was that personality to me. And if he would have got there, who knows what it would have looked like for him. An original mind really saying what he thinks at the time and trusting his gut and saying, who knows what that, like, that could have looked real bad. So Jason Tatum just went ahead and said, I'm going to be safe. I'm going to stay safe because what I want the most is what I have right here, the championship.
And I don't want to lose that. But, it's very funny that you say that because that's how I am with my kids. I know this is tried and true. If you say these things, if you do these things, this is very safe. It doesn't mean it's going to keep you out of trouble, but the likelihood of you doing something that's offensive or it's triggering to somebody, here are speeches, here are situations, here's how this guy plays, here's this. And there is a level where you need to be who you want to be. You have to have a voice, but it comes at such a cost that sometimes it's better just to have the prepared speech that has tried or has traveled through time as a safe, and it's not going to get you in trouble. And I know people out there will be like, well, you should be able, really. There's certain times you can say what you need to say, and then there are times when you're in front of a camera and you're speaking for an entire culture, you're speaking for an entire race, you're speaking for an entire
city
gender, a city, right? And you have to understand that what I say is really going to have an effect. No matter whether it's good or bad, people are always going to have something to say. But if I go out there and I start and I'm this and if it wasn't for me, then you look like an ass. But if you do the prepared speech, now you get hit with, oh, he's not keeping it real. Why don't you speak from your heart?
True.
It's like, dude, what the hell do you want me to do?
That's true. There's deeper things at play sometimes. Yeah. I apologize, Jason Tatum.
I mean, he got the championship. He did what he needed to do. He celebrated. Like, I'm going to tell you, since we're talking about him, one of the great, I saw this, I wish he would get a still frame of it. It was when his son, he lifted him up in the air and his son was like this and all the confetti was coming down behind him. Some cameraman or camerawoman took a picture of him holding his son up.
From the game?
From the game. It is so amazing. I'm like, bro, he needs to get that picture as big as his wall. Because it was just one of those things where this little boy has grown up in Boston. These people have seen him grow up. And now for your dad to win this championship and he's celebrating with his son. Like this is how important this is. I thought that was one of the best photos. So I was just like, wow, I hope he gets that picture. Thanks for tuning in to The Route. Don't forget to subscribe and connect with us on socials for exclusive updates. We'll see you next week.